From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In this podcast, I talk to authors Bridget, Willard, and Laine-Naida about their book, The Only Online Marketing Book You Need for Your Small Business. Just a little side note, I had the pleasure and honor of writing the introduction for their book. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation we had. This episode of the SDM Show is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency to handle all your WordPress website security needs. Go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and find out how we can help you secure your website so you no longer have an issue with backups, being hacked, or your website being compromised. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today I have the honor of being with my two good friends, Bridget, Willard, and Laine-Naida, to talk about their book, The Only Online Marketing Book You Need for Your Small Business. How are both of you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Doing well here. And how are you, Warren?
I'm good, thank you. We had some snow today finally in North Europe. Now but it melted.
Yeah. Would you like some more snow? I can arrange to send you like 40 centimeters.
No. I lived where you're living, and I've had enough snow for a few lifetimes. Please send it to California where they need water. Yeah.
You Canadians. I know. Let's ship it. Why we got big old mounds of snow in Door County? The high schoolers just jump in it.
We could pack it on trains and send it through Ohio.
There you go.
Yeah.
You guys are too much. I really love the new book, and I have to throw a little disclaimer out there for listeners. I had the pleasure of writing the introduction for you guys for the book, and thank you very much for that honor. It was such a treat.
Yes.
Well, we're thankful that you gave us your time. In the second edition especially, we felt that it was important to include our peers. Because so often we rely on them as our online collaborators, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, two of our peers that we reached out to were very ill with COVID. So I want to kind of give a shout out to Jen McFarland and Jen Miller. They're amazing humans. They're amazing business women. And unfortunately, they didn't make the cut this time, but hopefully next time.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
And
then we had, sorry, go ahead.
I had to give a personal shout out to Paul Toby in there. I don't know if both of you know that Paul is one of my mentors in the digital marketing game. And, I just had the pleasure a couple months ago, in January actually, of sitting down with Paul in his new house and with him and Nancy and doing that. So, I'm in really good company there.
Oh, that's nice. Well, we had his son Adrian write a guest chapter in our second book for nonprofits, and so it's kind of like in the family. That's great.
I know Adrian really well too. He's such a smart whiz kid, to say the least. Yeah. So, why the update to the book?
Oh my gosh, why not? First of all, Warren and I were like, what? It's been 2 years? That's crazy. And the whole Chat GPT thing, which Warren and I are completely divided on. I find it morally reprehensible and just I would feel dirty, as he would say, dirty, using some machine to try to be creative that just learns from other machines. But anyway, that's a whole section. And then I wanted more actionable, like, okay, here's your schedule. This is the part I love the most in our update. Here's your schedule. Do you have 8 hours to work on your business? Then here's 8 days, 1 hour a day. Boom. Just get it done. Because small business owners, I love them. I love them, but they often won't set aside money to hire anybody, and they want to do it themselves. But their worst enemies is also themselves. Warren, why did you think we needed an update?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm not as much of a Luddite as you, Bridget, but on one hand, yeah, the book came out like 2 years ago, and that's like 10 years in our business, and we followed up the small business book with the book for nonprofits, and we followed that up with the book for schools. So, when we did the book for schools, we really had found, I think, our stride. And then even then, we were looking back and going, I want to do what we did for the school book. I want to do this for the small business book. And then at the same time, I've got the SEO book, which my partner and I are updating each quarter. So we're updating it 4 times a year. So with those, in at least in my head, it was a no-brainer that we had to, revamp the small business marketing book, and I'm really glad we did because the cover needs to be redone. Like Bridget said, we needed to get more people involved, and so I'm much happier with this product now. And now, of course, we have to update the other 2 books. But, it was really important that we did that.
No, you did a really good job of it. So one thing I want to jump into, and I think you and I have talked about this one, I'm sure I have with Bridget. Why do people need to spend time on email marketing? We need to go there.
Bridget?
Oh my God. Yes. And I also feel so convicted because as a small business owner myself with a product to sell, I will tell you that the discouragement is strong. It's sometimes you get so exhausted just trying to get sales or trying to convince people this product is useful for them or whatever. But you have to remember that people signed up for your email list because they want to hear from you. And where they want to hear from you is their email inbox, which is one of the best ways to convert leads. Now, that's not to say that you also should be using social media and whatnot so that they remember you and go, oh yeah, I do have an email from, whomever, and I need to go look at that. People save emails. I don't always have time to read Jason Resnick's email, but I save it. I get an email from Tom Jones and I read it. I love Trinity London Cosmetics, and every time I get an email, I open it every single time. Even if I'm not out of my foundation, even if I don't need the lip to cheek color. I love the brand. I love hearing from them. It makes me happy. Right? So there's the side of you as a business owner selling your things and you as the consumer feeling happy about getting those things. And then when you add direct mail on top of it, it's literally a marketing assault. But let's go back to why business owners should do it. I think every business owner I know is like, yeah, we should do it. But email is deceptively simple. Email marketing is very complicated. It's all has to do with there's like DKIM records and all this other weird stuff that should be way easier, in my opinion. Like, as far as like the internet's concerned, the most difficult things are the things we think maybe should be a little more automated or a little better onboarding, which is DNS records and anything where you have to verify who you are, like the DKIM things. And that's mainly why I use MailChimp. Now, we've talked about Paul Toby, Adrian Toby, of course. Groundhog is in my plan because I like them as humans. But let's go back to that, right? So, like, you get a business owner, they're collecting email addresses. Like, let's just say this inn I have as a client. They're getting email addresses every time somebody books a hotel stay. So, yeah, they should use social media. Yeah, they should update their website, which I rewrote their website for them. But also, like, hey, we have an opening for this weekend. Or did you know we're going to get a new restaurant? Like, just keep at the top of the mind. But that means somebody has to make an email template. You have to, like, look at the best practices. You have to not make the font 8-point pixel white text on a black background with 1,000 pictures in there, because it's not a freaking web page. It's just an email. Like, stop over designing it. And then you get all this, and then there's people who are like, oh, let's do a newsletter. And it's 1995 and we're using Publisher to make a, 11 by 17 newsletter that's double-sided, and you fold it and you hand it out, which I did when I was at Triangle Lines and Kernville Stage and Freight Lines, literally in 1993. So, like, what are we doing? Like, stop calling a news. Just email your people. Just be a normal person. But people, like, think, oh, I do email, and then it has to be like a web page. And then they get so discouraged they don't do anything. Warren, what do you think?
Yes, I agree.
You can't just say yes. I'm going to start saying things that you don't agree with.
No. Okay, so I have a different angle on email. I mean, I understand it. I think it's really highly appropriate because that's where you get your permission, and that's where you can, personalize the message, personalize the offer, because people have asked you to. Now, this works both ways. We had this conversation a couple of days ago, Bridget, about hosting. That, as being a good customer for hosting. And I think that goes for everything. You have to be a good customer. And this means understanding, the limits of the service and what the service can do for you and letting the service do its job. So specifically for email marketing, I think this is where it sort of, it can go right or wrong. If you understand why people are sending you emails, hopefully it's not spam. Hopefully they're trying to give you something personal, and then it really works. But for me, I'm a very, very, very small business, so I'm not using email marketing. I've used it for clients, and it works. But for myself, it doesn't. And I'm also a bad email customer. If you're sending me emails, if I'm on your email newsletter list, you're not going to get any love from me because, I'm getting the information that I want from your brand. I'm getting it on social media, which is then another conversation, because I think this maybe goes along with what you were saying, Bridget, that some companies, they're putting out all of this great stuff on social media, and then they put it out in email as well. It's like, well, I don't need both of these. I just need one. And if I see you putting it on social media, that's where I'm going to be grabbing it from. And I don't need your email.
So it comes down to doing the right content for the right platform, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know when I put out stuff in my email, I do not post that stuff on social media on purpose.
Good.
Because
Good.
Then I'm just duplicating content, and I'm doing what I call shoveling. So I just don't like to do that. So,
But it also brings up another point. The customer wants to hear from you on the platform of the customer's choice.
Yes.
So even though I am an advocate for not auto posting the same content everywhere simultaneously, if the people want to only get the email and then not follow you on social, that's up to them, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But you hit on something, Rob, about email exclusivity.
Yeah,
because you have to incentivize people to sign up for your list in the first place.
Yeah,
that's true. No question. And I mean, I've built my email list for my business is running around 9,000 people right now, and that's
Toledo
exclusivity. Yeah. By the way, with a 60% open rate on a regular basis.
What? You're a rock star.
Yeah.
Send me some of that juju.
It's taken time to get to that. It's taken time to get to that point, and you just got to keep working it. And for those listening, like the average open rate in the service business is like 10 to 12% or something like that. It's not
then I can't be happy about 25.
25 is pretty good. But what you have to do is you have to do smart things. Like if you're doing email marketing, don't do what big brands like Old Navy do and send their emails from do not reply at oldnavy.com. That screams we don't hear from our customers. We don't want to talk to you. And that's not what I want. I want conversations, and I want people to use my email exclusivity to get at me. And if they want to hit reply, let them. And let them ask me questions and let them into your space. Because that makes you a better marketer and it builds that relationship. And they might not buy today, but they might buy 2 years from now.
Exactly. And then that way they're, you can integrate it with help desks, whatever, Help Scout, whatever you're using, Zendesk, Help Scout, whatever, so that your customer service people can do that. We did spend a lot of time in the book about email marketing, and one of the things that we felt was important, and we used some screenshots, is don't make it hard for people to unsubscribe. Like I make all my footer information really big and fat and bold and easy to read. Like my default email font is like 18. Like people are reading on their phones.
Yep.
Because if I keep getting emails from people, and I'm mostly reading on my phone, even though I work at a computer all day, and I can't read on my phone, I'm out. I'm just going to delete it. And also, can we talk about when you send it? Because I'm going to tell you something else. When I wake up in the morning at 7:30 and I drink my coffee and I go through my emails, everything that is sent to me is deleted. Unless it's like from, a bill. Like I don't want your emails. I don't want that. I don't want to wake up with a giant pile. Like I was a secretary for 30 years. I want a big pile of work that I have to do, right now. Like send your emails after 9 a.m., dude. Not you personally, but like businesses.
I actually
see the ding.
I send mine later in the day. And the reason I do is most people send their emails in the morning. And it comes down to my whole thing about standing out. And I don't want my emails to get lost in the cluster of everybody else's. So I choose another time that's off schedule for everybody else.
Yeah. That's why I, with social and email marketing, like what's the best time to send it? The best time to send it is when you send it. Like, but also think, it depends on what your business is, right? So I used to say Fridays where content goes to die. So this applies to anywhere you're posting, including email, because that's how the news cycle works. People bury stories on Fridays because nobody gives a crap. But if you're a restaurant or a real estate agent, that's a good time because people are looking for houses on the weekends, right? Yeah. But like when you think about when people are looking at their phones right before work, at lunch, and about 4:30 before they get off. So those are also good times. And then don't be sending anything between 5 and 7 p.m. People are with their families eating dinner and whatnot. If you want to do a late one, do it at 8 p.m. But why are you sending me emails at whatever o'clock in the morning? Like, the bar is still open. Like, if the bar is closing, like, just be smart about it. Be the ding. That's what I always say. Be the ding in the email box.
Warren, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, sorry. Yes. I was thinking about that because I find it interesting that in the mornings when I'm checking my mails and things, I don't really have any emails, but they all seem to come at once, in the afternoon, and then they sort of continue. But it's kind of funny because in the morning when I might have time, there's really not that much, which is interesting. Now, I don't subscribe to a lot of newsletters because, exactly the reason that I always pick up what I want. And I haven't found yet, I haven't found those sorts of services where I'm getting useful, like actionable emails. It's usually I'm not getting any or I'm getting too much. And I can't have new information 5 times a week. I'm not able to consume that much. Once a week would be nice, but I get a lot of these sorts of, and here's some more information. It's like I haven't consumed the information from yesterday. So.
No, I agree. So
it's nice they send it, but it's just too much.
Yeah. The other thing you spend a lot of time in the book on is one of your steps you talk about is landing pages, which is one of my big areas of interest. And I think a lot of people don't know how to design a landing page properly.
That's very true.
What I always say to people on a landing page is the first thing you need to do is strip off the header, strip off the footer. You don't want any of that stuff on the landing page. Because the intent of a landing page is to get people to click on the offer or what you're doing. What do you think about
that? Me or Bridget?
You.
Me. It's a sore spot for me at the moment because I have 3 new clients, and it's all around landing pages, and I'm trying, but it's the concept of what a landing page is, why we need it, and why it's important to have a little information. I'm having a lot of issues with these concepts. Well, I'm not, but my clients are. And I keep going back on this and I'm getting a lot of resistance. So we spend time on this. I spend time on all of my classes. It doesn't matter what class I'm teaching. Landing pages appear because they are so important and they are not understood. I think we've really got into, we've been sold this bill of goods that the website has to be packed with stuff. So, if we say, okay, we're going to create a unique page with, an image, a contact form, we're going to lose the header and people look at you and it's like, why would we make this thing? It's like, because we need this, it's really, it's very, very difficult. I've spent the last 2 weeks with one client to build a landing page and it's still not ready because they keep sneaking in extra content and I have to keep stripping it out. And, we need a whole book on landing pages, I think.
I'm sure we do. Bridget, how do you feel about landing pages?
Well, as somebody who isn't as technically savvy as Warren, I know that my landing page isn't supposed to have menu navigation, but I just copy something. I just copy a template that I already have in Beaver Builder and do it. I know it's not supposed to have any distracting navigation. But it also needs to have copy that's tweetable. It also needs to have 300 words. So I'm a big fan of landing pages. They're especially important when you're doing PPC. They're especially important when you're trying to A/B test your audiences. Like for a while, I have group. I don't really advertise very often. I have group social media training available because it's kind of a PETA project. But I had group social media training for contractors, group social media training for franchisees, group social media training for small business owners. And so then that give you different things to tweet, you're changing the language, not just the words. The way you write it on there has to be for that specific demographic or persona. Like you need to speak to their problems. And then one of my big things that I feel like I do well with my landing pages is once somebody signs up on that form, because the landing page and a form go together, that's what you're trying to do, is I direct them to a specific thank you page just for that landing page.
Yeah.
So it's not just like one of those, I hate it when you fill out a form and there's some weird message that says, thanks for the submission. Like half the time I don't even notice it. I just think I did it wrong. And then
what a waste of time.
Right. So with one of my clients, he was like, your landing page, your thank you page where I had a video. Hey, I'm going to get back to you. My pricing's over here, blah, 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 whatever. Enjoy this video while we wait to schedule an appointment or whatever. He said, when I saw that, that's when I knew I wanted to work with you. Right? It's that extra touch. If it takes 7 to 10 touches to gain a sale, then every single part of that process matters. You think about it when you're a small business. I finally convinced, I don't know how long it took, but for 9 years, I was office manager at a commercial general contractor. And I finally convinced Briggs Construction to have swag. In WordPress, we're like, swag, of course. But like a light, it's a flashlight with Briggs Construction on it. And when we return the keys to the property owner, we return it with that. When it's like realtors do this all the time, they know that. But like with construction, they're always needing to do tenant improvements for commercial buildings. So why wouldn't you make that last touch just as good as the first one?
I agree. And then with landing pages, thank you pages are a big pet peeve of mine. Use the space. So if you don't have an upsell on a thank you page is a good idea. Highlighting some good content, highlighting another service, highlighting what you do. Don't just say thank you. Use it. And it's one of the things Amazon does really well is they shove other products at you. And just kind of go that way.
Exactly. But like the mom and pop store or, the Bridget Willards of the world, marketing agencies, I don't have the technology to do that. We can say, oh yeah, Amazon. But so you have to take that idea of related. I mean, WooCommerce has a related products plugin for sure. But I mean, so how do we apply it to like professional services? So on my Launch with Words packs, on my ebook and my content planner, I have, thank you so much. Blah, blah, blah. Here's how you download it. Hey, if you like this, you might like this book, the only online marketing book link. You also might like Twitter book link. You also might like Keys to Being Social link. So you can upsell even in text that goes with the thing that they're selling. It doesn't have to be all complicated, programmatic, access to FBI secrets algorithms. It just needs to be cognizant. You need to be aware that if people like your stuff, they're going to like more stuff. And that's why email marketing is so important.
Yeah.
No question. So let's kind of segue into PPC, pay-per-click advertising. You spend some time in the book talking about that. And I personally think, and I could be wrong, Facebook is harder to do pay-per-click content today than ever before. Warren, what do you think about that?
You are not wrong.
And why am I not wrong?
Oh, I mean, that's another sore spot. But I mean, it goes well with landing pages, because if you are running pay-per-click campaigns, you need a landing page. You must have a landing page for that ad. You must have a thank you page. You must give added value at that point, et cetera, et cetera. So those are connected. I'm old-fashioned, and I know some people have success with Facebook ads. I've run Facebook ads for a long time, and I don't see where the success comes from. It just seems like a really good way to throw money at Facebook, and they have enough. Google ads make a lot more sense. They are still a black box, but they still give you a lot more value for the money than Facebook does, in my opinion. There's so many ways you can break out what you are getting from Google in ways you cannot, in my experience, from Facebook. I think they're both getting more difficult, but Facebook for me was always, I mean, it wasn't a black box. It was more like a black cloud. So, yeah.
So taking over the podcast here, can you explain to our listeners who don't know what a black box is?
A black box it's a box, and it's black. And there's things inside that you can't see. I guess, well, okay, that's probably the non-technical way. If you're developing,
what do you mean? Okay, so what he means by black box is you have no idea how it fucking works. Okay, that's the thing.
Yeah,
you just put all this money into something, you have no idea. And so I have distinct opinions as well. Okay, here's the thing: Facebook has always had a higher engagement rate when you have ads for certain things. And, people back in the day were like, oh my God, it's down to 14%. But that's still a really high. But lately, I agree with you, Rob. I just do boosted posts, and I will tell you that it's garbage. And it's garbage because there are so many, even if you're only trying to get people in a specific zip code, it's junk accounts, man. This is the problem with advertising on a social media platform that is valued based upon the number of users. That goes for Twitter, Meta. I don't know. LinkedIn might be better. I have no idea because I don't spend
any
money
social
on that.
media ads.
But
they're display ads.
Yeah, they're display ads. They're boosted. You get the cranky people like, take me off this. That's why. But the thing about PPC, and I got banned from stupid Google ads. I don't know why, but I suspect because it kept. I was using it for my landing page for how to market your plugin, and I used howtomarketyourplugin.com, which redirected to my landing page instead of using bridgetwillard.com. And then it kept suggesting WordPress as a keyword, which I think, anyway, I can't ever use Google anymore for whatever reason. And the reason's inside that black box. But what we were doing originally was getting insight on what words were used, and then I would update the copy on that landing page. Like, oh, that's how they found us? Okay, that's really good insight. Oh, that also gives me insight into blogging topics. Because what you want to do is use any of that feedback to learn and improve, right? So if you're on a podcast right now and a quote resonates from a post you wrote 3 months ago or 3 years ago, put the quote in the blog post and update it. Like, you should always be updating your things. This is why so the learnings you get from PPC. Now, there's another reason why people throw money at PPC, and I had an interview with Rand Fishkin on my YouTube channel about this whole idea. So these companies that are backed by investors, whether they're private equity or venture capitalists or the stock market, they are only concerned with growth. Okay? And so they will spend an enormous amount of money for growth. That doesn't mean that the company is profitable. That doesn't even mean that people are engaging with those ads. It is, excuse me, it is a way for them to spend money to get the numbers they want with the number of users, the number of views, the number of impressions, the number of whatever they're looking for, the number of visits on their website. That signals growth, because what investors want is growth. And that's why when you're paying attention to the Bloomberg or Yahoo Finance or the stock market, they're like, oh no, Tesla's stock is down a blah, blah, blah percent. Well, that's because their earnings report came out and they thought they would have more growth when they projected it. And now they only have, 96% of that actual number. Like, it's so stupid. Okay. It's all just like this weird little, shadow puppet game that the economy plays. Now, if you're a small business, you don't have a crap ton of money to just waste spending on that. Okay. But there's this idea that, 400 impressions on that tweet, Bridget. Okay, I could have I literally had a client say, oh, you only got 400 impressions on that tweet. And I was like, that was pretty good for how many followers we have. And they're like, well, I could have paid for that. And so when you compare what people spend on paid media versus hiring a professional who manages their social media, like me, okay, my level of price and up, it's less expensive to pay for views.
Yeah.
I would agree with that 100%. And you talked about you being banned off Google for Google ads. Guess what? I have problems with Facebook for Facebook ads for myself, not for clients. And it's really interesting. I have an ongoing issue on Facebook where I cannot put anything from my own website. It's been banned for like 2 years. So the game I have to play when I share the podcast is I have to share the podcast landing page on the podcast host, not my website. And that's such a pain. And it comes back to why clients need to own their website and their mailing list. It kind of goes full circle, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's jump into websites for a minute, because I do want to go there. And I posted a tweet a couple days ago and said websites are not fixed, they're an ongoing project. And the reason I posted that tweet is I'm in the middle of a website redesign, a whole color background change on my own agency site. Why do small business owners take their website and think once a designer does them, they're done and they never have to touch them again? Bridget.
Because they don't understand that a website is a living, organic, breathing thing. An employee that works for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without health insurance or workers' comp or payroll taxes. They think, oh, I made this thing and that's it. It's a one and done. I paid $1,500. I paid $2,000. I paid $500. I paid $250. I paid $45,000. It's done. And I blame us for not explaining that. Like, you'll hear that idea of, you have a car. You wouldn't have a car and then never get your tires rotated and never have an oil changed. You bought the car, so therefore the car should just work. Everything has to be maintained. Everything has to be updated. Like my snowplow guy doesn't have the S in the HTTP. He doesn't know that that's bad. He probably doesn't even look at his website. But my browser isn't going to let me see it because it's not safe, and so I blame the host for that. But it goes back to what's the really problem. It's the DNS records. Like, nobody knows about this stuff. And I am not smart enough to just go fixing that kind of stuff. But that I know it's that, it's simple for the people who know what they're doing. But this is the problem, is they think it's a one and done thing instead of, no, now you have a place to constantly update. Oh, you do this service. Oh, you have Facebook now. Oh, you have whatever. And then there's the whole idea of, I don't need a website. I have Facebook. Because people don't want to pay. This is another problem.
So let me share a story since you mentioned that. I had a client back when Facebook and Instagram had their major outage before Christmas, who was making, about $10,000 a day by posting stuff on Instagram, said he didn't need a website until Instagram went down and he lost that $10,000 a day.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was his incentive to come back to me and say, I need my website and I need it yesterday.
Right.
And we all have to be very careful that social media is what I refer to as rented land. And that means you don't own it and the rules can change on an ongoing basis. Yeah. So, Warren, what's your perspective on websites, and do you need one, and redesign and that whole potpourri sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, just like what Bridget said, it is organic. We've had websites for 20 years, almost 30 years. We've had websites. It seems like a long time, but I think most people who have websites, they remember the time before websites. And they still use websites for informational purposes. And that translates to similar things like print, billboards, the sign on our shop, these things. You do it once, that's it. So there is still that mentality. Why do we use a website? To give information. Good. There's the information. Now you don't need to update it. So the idea that a website is participatory, transactional, the whole idea of conversions, this is still something that most people don't understand. So I think that's a problem. Second, it's very clear. Yes, if you want to update this, you either need to do it yourself or you need to pay someone. And both of these are red flags. Yeah. Most people don't move the refrigerator and sweep underneath it. So they're not going to update their website every quarter. Now, on the other hand, I think it is important that the internet it's accessible and inclusive. So as part of any of my courses, I'm also spending time showing people why they do need a web presence, but they might not need a website. So if you don't have the time, if you don't have the resources, there are so many other alternatives. There's Facebook pages, MailChimp does landing pages. There's Google Business Profile. There's a lot of ways that you can be present and successful as a small business or as a nonprofit without having a website. But it's still, whatever you want to call it, it's still a presence. But if you are going to have a website, and most people or most companies do need this, they need a place that they own, then you have to take care of it. You do need to take care of your car or it will stop working. You do need to go to the gym, otherwise you will stop working. But it is a commitment. And I think because it's not real, it's just something on the internet, that there is that sort of disconnect. And we've come a long way from front page and these sorts of things, building websites. We've come, light years, but most of us still remember the time when you had to walk to your television, turn the knob, and then walk back to the site. That is a memory for most people who are running websites. So, you have two completely different mindsets when it comes to, here is a thing that I'm going to use to inform people about my business. So it's a bit difficult.
Well,
yeah.
I also think that there are a lot of small business owners are like nonprofits, and they like to say how poor they are.
Mm-hmm.
But they go on vacation, they go on trips, they drive a BMW, whatever, Mercedes. They have money, they still want to spend it because they don't think they need to. So that goes to another topic, which, to be frank, I'm not sure how much we harped on this. We probably should have harped on it a little more, is lead tracking. So
yes.
One of the things I really trained my boss at when I was at Riggins Construction is that when you ask somebody how you heard about us, like, how did you hear about us? That's on my form. I ask everybody. I have a spreadsheet. I know what's going on. The internet is not an acceptable answer. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody says, well, I did it on the internet, just keep asking them, oh, did you see our website? Or whatever. But if they came from the form on your website, they saw you from the website. But a lot of times, and this is the thing that people don't understand now, Warren talked about all of us who had to bang on the side of a TV for V-hold, but there's the millennials. They're like 40 now, okay? And they take these online things for granted. There's so many 40 and 30-year-old business owners who are literally running their business on Instagram, which is just a crying shame because they really don't think they need anything else, right? And the thing is that they don't have a form, so they're not going to have email marketing, right? You have to have a website. You have to have an email that is from that domain to effectively do email marketing. You have to have those landing pages. You have to ask people how they heard about you. You have to keep track of that. So one time when I was working for the advertising agency, we had a lady, and we did her website, of course, because that's what we did. And she was like, well, I don't think the website form was working. And we were like, why? And she goes, well, all I get is phone calls. And of course, I wasn't allowed to talk to the clients at that time, but I wrote a note for my boss right there, like we were sitting next to each other. I said, ask her how they found the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
So websites are part of not just the discovery part, SEO, not just discovery, not just being found. It's part of the validation process. I will not work with somebody who doesn't have a website because to me, that tells me that you don't know what you're doing and you are not invested in your business. I don't trust you. And to me, that shows you're flighty. Because it might be a crappy website, but you should have a website. What are you doing? PayPal or taking cash in the back? You're just like laundering money.
Taking cash in the back.
I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work in construction, so I know.
I agree with that. You do need a website. So moving forward, the hot topic these days is AI. And we can thank ChatGPT for that one. So I was debating whether we wanted to go there or not. I think we do need to. And we do need to open that can of worms.
Rob, what are you doing, Rob?
Yeah. I personally think AI is good for starter stuff. I don't think AI is the answer to everything because one of the things I talked about in the intro I wrote for the book And one of the things I talk about with my clients is you got to make yourself different. And if everybody's using the same AI bot, how do you make yourself different? So let's go to Warren for that one.
Me?
Yes, you.
Well, I've poo-pooed a lot in my life. Yep. I've poo-pooed fax marketing. Yep. I poo-pooed WordPress. I poo-pooed Facebook. I haven't yet poo-pooed AI because I've given up poo-pooing. There's a problem and there's a benefit with the whole chat. You know, I was waiting for it to go away, like Web3 and NFTs and everything else that, you know, trends on Twitter. But it certainly has its place. And if it's not going to go away, then we need to see how we can use it instead of it using us. And it's a good point what you said about, you know, it all being the same. And this is a problem. However, you know, I could also make a case for, you know, the benefit of duplicate content, but maybe for another time. I think one good thing with the chat is that it enables you to give you structure. If you're not able to, because not everyone is a writer, not everyone can get their thoughts together, and doing that over Google and other search engines can take time. So this can help you get over that first hurdle. The downside to the Chat GPT as it now stands is that there is no sourcing. I don't know where this information came from. I don't know if it's right. And I don't know, I don't know the source. And I like this, that when I'm researching, I can see the source, I can vet the source, and I can make decisions based on the sources of the material. And this is very important for me. Whereas chat, it's like, okay, I've got some information. Is it right or not? I don't know. I've used it quite a lot for a variety of projects, and it came, very, very quickly apparent that you can't rely on what it says. You have to do the research anyway, because sometimes what it's telling you is not correct. So, if it's just for time saving, it doesn't really save you, like in the long run, a lot of time, maybe a little bit of time. So it's nice. It's a nice addition. Just like, I was typing on manual typewriters my essays at university, and it was really nice to get onto an IBM Selectric, that maybe had 3 lines of text in its memory, because this saved me time, and it was wonderful. Did I feel dirty? Well, maybe a little bit, but I got over it, The same as CDs. I felt very dirty using them. I missed the, cassette tapes. We always have, I think, that sort of problem with new technology. But as long as we use it properly, it should be okay.
Okay, but you're talking about something that's technology is technology, but AI is artificial intelligence. And so what people are trying to do is not hire Bridget and use this stupid machine to come up with text, and then they copy and paste it and use it as is. Okay.
But they've already done, we've lived that. People used to hire me to make websites, and I would charge them 60 hours to make a website. Then now they use Wix, and they don't hire Warren at all.
Well,
so we've experienced that with websites as well.
I mean, I guess there's a point to that, but I will say a couple things. Now,
yes.
Before Chat GPT, there was Jarvis.
Yes.
Jasper, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working with somebody who didn't want to pay me. They're like, we'll just use Jasper. I'm like, okay. So this was a landscape designer, landscape architect. They specifically did not want to be referred to as a landscaper.
Mm-hmm.
Because a landscaper is a guy with a lawnmower in the back of his truck who takes cash. That is not what they do. They are designers, installers, they do hardscaping. Like, it's a completely different connotation, and it's off brand. And the client specifically asked for that word to not be used. But the person who was using it didn't know anything about landscaping, for one thing, and then left that in there. And I was like, nah, dude, you can't do this. So, like, it's garbage in, garbage out. For one thing, it doesn't replace having brand guidelines and brand voice.
No.
And, I don't care about the duplicate content issue, but I do care about what you brought up, Warren, which is it can't be sourced. Now, earlier this week, there was a story on NPR about Microsoft's version in Bing that somebody asked it to describe a photo, and it said they had misshapen hair and crooked teeth and you're ugly and all this other stuff. Why? Because AI is learning from the way people write on the internet. And people on the internet sometimes aren't very nice.
Yeah.
So there are ethical issues with bullying, for that, and not even talking about what is being sourced and who is really an expert. Now, let's go back a little bit before we talk about the actual tools and who's doing the writing. Why are we writing? We're writing to establish our experience, our expertise, our authority, and our trustworthiness. It must come from us. If you're not a good writer, that's why we have Grammarly. Now, that's an assistive technology that I think is good, although I have told Grammarly many times they are not correct.
Oh, yes, me too.
They're not set up for copywriting. They hate it when you repeat things. That's fine. But if, like, grammar's not your thing, that's fine. If you want to use that as a prompt, that's fine. But there are issues with potentially using an AI to do the writing, and using it as is, I think, is potentially self-harm to your brand.
Yeah, you should never just take it as it is and that's it. I mean, this is crazy. But it's a tool, but you have to use tools responsibly, and otherwise it's just going to be a mess. I completely agree with you. Yeah,
I do too. It's such an interesting conversation, and it's how you use the tool. So I want to thank both of you for joining me today. And just so everybody knows, if you tweet or share this episode in the next 2 weeks from the date it's released, I will pick one lucky winner who I will send a copy of Bridget and Warren's book to. So please share the episode. Warren, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how's the best way?
Definitely on Twitter. I'm the only Warren Laine-Naida on the whole planet. So you can find me on Twitter.
And Bridget, how's the best way to get a hold of you?
Same, Bridget M. Willard on Twitter, or hello@bridgetwillard.com.
Thanks, both of you, for joining me. Have an amazing day.
Thank you, Rob.
You too.
Thank you.
This episode of the SDM Show was sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency to handle all your WordPress website security needs. Go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and find out how we can help you secure your website so you no longer have an issue with backups, being hacked, or your website being compromised. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com.
A very special thank you to Bridget and Warren for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. Thank you for listening to this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing. For more information about Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing, go to stunningdigitalmarketing.info. From here, you can connect to us on social media,
go to our website, and even go to the podcast to subscribe. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Make your business succeed.